Welcome back to Connect. I'm your host, Andy Hale. I'm so excited. It's January 3rd, 2025. I just wanted to drop a little episode to talk about kind of my 2025 mantra, my vibe, and I couldn't think of anybody better to do it than Jessica Rachel. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is the best way to kick off the new year.
For sure. I am so energized, and I want to thank you. Last week, you texted me a photo of a book, Abundant Ever After by Kathy Heller. I read that book already. Let me tell you, thank you for sending it to me. So many things in that book resonated with me. I just read it and I was like, oh my God, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, that book, it's
Why did
so
you send
good.
it to me?
Yeah, so this book reminded me so much of you because and this is why I sent it to you, because she talks all about sort of this energy of calling in abundance. And she doesn't even talk about calling it in. She talks about this energy of receiving and and it just brought me back to this channeling session that you and I had. And I think it was you who channeled the message, by the way. I know we always say you have intuitive gifts and you are so intuitive. It's beautiful. And I remember that we were practicing and you started talking about abundance and how do we get more money and how do we manifest more money, and you said this really profound thing, which was that everybody's walking around just allowing this little trickle in, this little stream. They're like letting it drip in, right? And you go, but if you just opened yourself up, you could let the whole river run through you. You could let the whole tidal wave come in, but you just have to open yourself up to it. And that's really the concept of this whole book, is how to do that. And I was like, this is everything Andy told me that day, and here it is in a book.
It's so true. And there's so many parts about her book I like. I'd recommend anybody out there to go get it and read it.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to LA tomorrow, and I'm going to see my Bell and Ivy team, Cynthia, Dawn, and Megan, who have all done sessions with you.
Yeah.
And I bought them each a copy of the book. I'm going to give it to them because I think it'll really resonate with them. But the
Yeah.
part that I really get right now that makes so much sense to me that I wanted to kind of share with you is the importance of your feeling, your energy, the way you rate it. If you can, these are the words I said. I wrote off these 4 words. If you can radiate, if you can kind of put out your energy, this positive energy, this love, this excitement, this feeling you have of the things you're passionate about and the gratefulness that you have, that is contagious. That is so contagious, and it's going to attract people to you. It's attractive quality. So the first step is to radiate your energy. Once you do, you're going to connect with people. You're going to find yourself now making connections with people that you would not have otherwise made. Once you connect with people, now you're going to create. You're going to have all these opportunities to create whatever it is that you create. Everybody has different things. We're all creators. You're going to create, and that is how you're going to manifest. So it's like radiate, connect, create, manifest. That is my mantra going into 2025.
I love that. I love it so much. And I would even argue that that's sort of how we met, right? Like it was just such a coincidence of how we found each other, right?
Mhm.
It wasn't actively through searching, right?
Yeah.
And it was all like if you had, you were just radiating this energy, and it led you to another lawyer friend of yours who then connected you to me, and like all of it was so magically aligned. And
It makes so much sense to me now. I feel like looking back on my life, like I've had the last 20 years, I've had lots of little kind of pockets of success. I had this Case Files TV show and different things that I did, but it's just like they were these kind of sporadic little pockets. I feel like now, though, now I'm kind of really getting it. Now I'm more in the vibe more often. Like I'm more, I think before I was kind of like, I run hot and cold. I didn't quite know what I was doing. Like I was getting downloads and I was kind of being intuitive and manifesting, but I was kind of, I think I just had these downloads and I wasn't quite sure how I was doing it. But now it is really making more sense to me. And I feel like it really does start with the energy you have, the feeling you have, and the excitement you have when you have that vibe, you are attracting not only people, but opportunities and situations, and that's the part where I feel physically different now on a more frequent basis, and do you ever feel that way? Like you just feel like you just feel so powerful and alive and radiant.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so interesting because especially from reading this book, it's also what I'm learning is that, yes, there have definitely been moments of my life where I have felt really in flow and felt really good. And then I always found myself waiting for the next wave to come of like when the next time is that I'm going to feel that way. But what I loved about this book is that she really emphasizes that it's a choice and it's always a choice and it's always available to you. And that's something since I read the book, I have been really trying to cultivate and sort of go, I don't have to sit in this place of misery right now. I don't have to be angry right now. I'm choosing to be angry or I'm
Yeah,
choosing to be, depleted or whatever it is. And I can choose again and I can recreate and I can actually cultivate my energy. And it's not to say that you shove down negative emotions. Of course, meet yourself where you're at, allow yourself to feel angry, frustrated, sad, and then choose differently. Right. And I really love that it's an energy that I get to choose and I get to live in this place of peace and wonder and gratitude and excitement whenever I want to. I just
yeah.
have to shift my energy.
I think her name, I go on TikTok, and now that I've kind of watched several kind of manifestation videos and things, that's what's getting sent to me a lot now. And there
Mhm.
was a woman, you probably heard of her, maybe not, Gabby Bernstein.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know who she was. I mean, obviously she's been doing this a long time. She
Yeah.
had a video, and this goes exactly along the lines I'm saying. She's like, the best thing you can do is just share your energy with the world. If you share your energy and put it out there, your family's going to notice, your kids are going to notice, the world's going to notice. If you just share, I mean, the best compliment you can get is when you walk in a room and people are like, God, I love your energy. If
Yeah.
people say to you like, I love your energy, it's contagious. Like that is a magnet for things to happen in your life, and that's the part now where it's kind of overtaken. It's the dominant feeling I feel right now, I mean, we all have things every day that we can be a little bit down about, like, oh, I've got this doctor's appointment tomorrow. Oh, I got these bills I got to pay, or, everybody has that day to day. We all do.
Yeah.
But you've got to you've got to be like, okay, that's fine. I'm going to do that. But you got to keep that high energy vibe. You got to
Mhm.
keep on that frequency. Like she talks about the radio dial all the time,
Yeah.
it's a dial, and you got to turn the dial to get the frequency, the higher frequency that you want, and that's what also resonated with me.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it's so beautiful that I think I just love that there was this beautiful metaphor that I think was even in the book where she was sort of like you can sit in front of the window and watch the snowstorm and go, God, that's so beautiful, right? Or you could go out into the snow and sit in the storm and say this is miserable,
Right.
right? And it's always your choice. Which side of the window are you going to be on? And
I
I
think
really love that.
I think there was a part that reminded me. I did one of my first Connect episodes was talking about everything in life is an opportunity. And I
Mm,
talked about I hired a woman to do my website. And then she told me to get a Facebook page. And through the Facebook page, I met this woman giving out wristbands. And she was involved in a show called Case File Chicago. I became an advertiser on the show. I wind up becoming the owner of the show. I meet the guy who sold me the show that led me to make Murder in the Park, that led me to meet Cleve Heidelberg, that led me to meet Chester Weger, that led me to have a podcast. Like all these opportunities I just created.
yeah.
And she talked to her about she wanted to be, a singer, and she wasn't getting a record deal, and she was kind of bummed about that. And then she kind of shifted her vibe, like, well, she'd heard about you can actually, you don't have to just get a record deal. You can license songs to movies and websites and companies and businesses. And she started to do that, and then she became super successful at that. And she kind of just shifted her focus, like, how else can I put my music out there other than having a recording career? And then that led to her starting a podcast. And she talks about recording it in her closet and not being happy the way she sounded 900 episodes later. I mean, because in the book, she talks about some of her guests, crazy people she's interviewing on there, like
Oh yeah.
famous people. And then
Hmm.
she's written books. I mean, she has created all these amazing opportunities. And she goes through it and tells you the stories. I don't see how you can read that book and not be motivated and be like, oh my God, I wanna tap into this, right?
Yeah, I know. I love it. I credit that woman to so many changes that have happened in my life. I have been listening to her podcast since she started it when it used to be called Don't Keep Your Day Job.
Wow.
And she shifted my whole mindset. I mean, that was when I was still a teacher and miserable, right? And it was
Yeah.
her podcast that changed my mind and kind of went, she'd said something so brilliant. And she said, you live the life you're willing to tolerate. And it was sort of like, if you're not liking the circumstances that you're in, then change them, right? Like do something about it.
Yeah. It's
So,
funny. And I was talking to my son about this. He just graduated a two year screenwriting program at UCLA, and now he's just starting in the world. And through things I've been reading and listening, my whole thing is you got to create,
yes.
create, create. That's my second mantra for 2025. Create, create, create. Put
Yeah.
it out there. Put it out there to the universe, whether it's your writing, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's your business, whatever it is, create. Create and put it out there. And I told him, don't even worry about it. It's not financial at all. It's not about the money. It's about being passionate about what you create. Enjoy the process. There's no stress to it. Don't be like, oh, I got to come up with something. Like, no, put it out there. And so one of my examples, I just started doing this. I've been talking for a couple years about I want to combine true crime with my love of food. Okay. And I don't know if I've talked about this with you, but
No.
I actually pitched this. I was at CrimeCon a couple years ago. I told this to a Dateline NBC producer I know. He loved it so much, he came up with a name for me. He said, you got to call this Hungry for Justice. And my concept was like, I don't know if you ever saw the TV show Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives,
Oh yeah.
where Guy Ferrari's going to these I love places like that. And my whole
Mhm.
thought was, if I'm talking about a true crime case, Chester Uyghur or somebody else, I could do it here in my office, but I could also do it at like Joe's Vintage Diner, be having the conversation while I'm at Joe's Vintage Diner having some amazing barbecue. And like, I've gotten some weird feedback. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't know, it sounds weird. You're going to talk about crime with food. I don't care. I don't care. I am putting it out there. I just recorded last week. We haven't edited yet. 4 TikTok videos where I'm talking about a case at 4 of my favorite places in the Chicago area. I'm just going to put it out there. You know what? I'm going to create. I like it. I feel good about it. And my whole thing is create and share it, and then let it flow. That's my vibe.
I love it. And your energy will be infectious. And I want to add to that, there's like this really beautiful idea of like, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Like, be a
No,
student, just do the thing because clarity comes from action, not from perfection.
I was talking to my son about that. I was like, my phrase is done is better than perfect.
Yes.
Because, let's say, him and I were talking about writing something, some kind of little, short movie. All right. Um, your fifth project is going to be better than your first project, or your fifth draft is going to be better than your first draft. But you know what? You don't get to draft number 5 until you have draft number 1. If
That's
you're waiting forever for this perfect idea or the perfect this or that to get the first thing created, you're just wasting time. You know what I mean? It's not going to be perfect, but it's part of the process. So
yeah.
do it. Even my Connect podcast, I think, is a perfect example. I've enjoyed all the episodes I've created, you know, and I think over time, I'm going to kind of continue to get better, a little more insightful. I'm going to have more knowledge. And I'm thinking in 2025, I'm going to have a lot more things to say that I didn't say in 2024. But that's because I just needed to start. I needed to
Yeah.
start. And I think a lot of people, I want to encourage them in this new year, whatever it is you do, create and put it out there. Just put it out there and create. We are creators, right? That's what we're meant to do, is to create. We're
Absolutely.
manifestors.
We are creators. We are pieces of the creator, right?
Yes. So what's your vibe? What's your 2025 feel, or kind of what you want to do?
Yeah. So, for me, it really is. I think there's been a lot of kind of chasing for me in previous years. I think it's always been about chasing the goal, and the goalpost keeps moving. And this year, especially after reading that book, it's definitely going to be about grounding down into my energy, about really about feeling good now and allowing myself to really sit in gratitude and be and so grateful and happy for the life I have, and cultivating the life I want, and really taking control of that. Instead of chasing, I'm receiving this year.
I think that's great. And I feel like it's kind of this way. It's like, let's say you're taking the kids to the park, okay? One vibe is you're pushing the stroller and you're kind of like, oh, it's kind of cold out here, kind of like, you're just kind of like, it just kind of blah. Another vibe is, God, this is so exciting. I got these two beautiful kids. I live here in Canada and I'm thinking about moving to Costa Rica. It's just like so exciting. The future is so exciting. I am really, man, I'm just loving this. Like, if you have that energy,
Yeah.
now you are going to start to see things happen. And I think for a lot of people, you just got to learn to up your game, up your frequency. I'm not saying you got to be like this 24/7, but you got to have periods where you're just feeling alive, you're feeling vibrant, you're feeling exhilarated, you're excited about something. For you, are you still thinking about Costa Rica?
Oh, yeah. I'm still thinking about it for
So
sure.
the way
Yeah.
that's going to come about is not from any kind of mindset of like, oh, how am I going to make it work? How much is it going to cost? I don't know where to live. It's going to come from a mindset of, man, this is an exciting journey. I cannot wait to go on this journey. And I think all those unknown questions, you kind of flip around like, what neighborhood am I going to live in? I don't know, but it's going to be exciting. I'm going to find one, like, how am I getting money to pay for it? I don't know, but it's going to happen. It's going to be fun to find out. Like, if you kind of start adopting that mentality and that feeling, then all those opportunities, like your recent podcast where you're at the park and the stranger with the double strollers from Costa Rica, are you kidding me?
I know. What are the
Are you
chances of that?
kidding me? That was wild.
It's so wild, yeah. And I think the other thing that I keep telling myself, and this is really the energy that I'm trying to sit in now, is because, again, I've always kind of sit in this place of moving goalpost, right? I'm going to manifest the next thing and the next thing and next thing. Now I'm starting to look at, like, if I was myself, if I were to talk to myself from 5 years ago and she were to look at my life now, she would go, oh my God, Jessica, you effing did it. Like,
Yeah.
right?
You
Like,
forget
I would,
sometimes.
pardon?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I kind of have to, like, sit here and go, like, oh my goodness, like, let's appreciate this for a minute. Look how
Yeah.
far I've come. And I did that.
You got to pause and give yourself credit for where you are,
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
for you, I just want to encourage you to don't whenever you're thinking about these questions in your little boxes that have to get checked to do this move,
Yeah.
don't come at it from a standpoint of like stress or unknown or uncertainty, or come at it from more like an excitement, like this is like an adventure, like wow, this is going to be kind of cool. How do I figure this out? Like, this is
Yes.
going to be really interesting. I get to like try to figure out what neighborhood I want to live in and how does it work? Like, how fun and exciting, I mean, come at it like that, and
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
I also wanted to talk about one of the passages in the book, Kathy Heller's book I really liked. She talked about going to a podcast conference
Oh, I
and
love that
like
story.
packed all these people, everybody's kind of networking, handing out business cards. She's like, oh, it just seems so kind of fake, and I don't even have any business cards. So she walks out of the like venue. She walks like to like the hotel next door, or place next door, sits down and orders like a tea or coffee. And the guy and everybody at the conference, the whole big thing was like everybody wanted to meet like people at Apple, because Apple was the big podcast group everybody wanted to meet. So she just goes, leaves the venue, walks out. she goes to some other, right around the corner. A guy strikes up a conversation with her. They start talking about, podcasts, what she does. And who is this guy? Head of marketing for Apple Podcasts. Like, are you kidding me? Like, it just, these stories, they're not coincidences.
Yeah.
They are the universe aligning things for you. And these stories I find so inspirational and powerful. Me meeting you. I mean, it's a perfect example. And through these weird kind of circumstances,
Mhm.
I just wanted to share with you today. I am feeling so much energy. And I want to share that because I want to encourage people to change the radio dial, man. I mean, you got some static, you're not feeling great. Turn the dial. You can flip this around, You
Yeah.
can flip this around.
I love that. And your energy is palpable, Andy. Like we can really feel it. And I'm getting excited just from you sitting here and talking. So I hope
You
everybody
know,
else receives that too.
I forget where I read this. I've read so many things lately, and I got to start remembering the sources. Like Rick Rubin's got a book out. Have you heard about this Rick Rubin book?
Mm-mm.
And it's about like the art of creating. And there might have been in there where I read it, but like I look at this now where if something comes up that's kind of like a challenge or a bit of a like you might first view it as a problem, right? Let's say your nanny said she's gonna move. Like we're losing our nannies. Like, hey Jessica, bad news, I'm moving. I've only got like 2 more months. Instead of being like, oh shit, be like, okay, interesting. What's my next nanny going to be like? This could be really interesting. Like, I
Mhm.
wonder who my next nanny is going to be. There's somebody out there right now who doesn't even know they're going to be my next nanny. And you look at it like this cool opportunity, this cool adventure, as opposed to immediately just taking it as a negative.
Yeah.
Because your nanny number two, you might have been like, I love nanny number one. She was great. But you know what? Nanny number two was all those things, and she can cook, and she can do this. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, this happens all the time. It's not these little situations that people kind of get bogged down and then they kind of are, they get in the static radio frequency. Just change the dial, man. Change
Yeah.
the dial and look at it a different way.
Yeah, it's so true. And that is exactly what happened to us, actually. Did I tell you about our nanny situation?
I remember saying something about your nanny. I forget what it was.
Yeah, yeah. No, that was exactly what happened. We lost one and then the new one was even better. So that's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. But I wish I had had that perspective when it happened because definitely at first I was reeling. I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get any work done? I've got these two little babies. But it's true. And now we're so much
Yeah.
happier. So
There's not much in life other than like, a medical issue. Um, Everything else is an opportunity. I mean, you get laid off, it's an opportunity. You don't get you make a pitch for some business, you don't get it. It's an opportunity like, hey, how can we learn from this and get better? Let's get better at this. What can we do better? What can we do different? Like
yeah.
everything is a lesson or an opportunity. And I am really, you're going to see, we're going to come back a year from now. Okay. January 3rd, 2026, you got to guarantee me wherever you and I are in the world, we're going to carve out 15 minutes to do this another Connect recording.
Oh
We're
yeah.
going to compare notes because I want to see how I do. Because what I'm telling you right now, I'm going to create in 2025.
I love
I want to create more podcast episodes. I want to create more little short documentaries, maybe feature documentaries. I have so many stories I want to tell, but I'm not just, I'm past just talking about it. Like
it.
it's time to execute. So 2025 for me, my mantra is create, create, create. So I want to come back here in a year and we'll see right now how things went. And for you, we'll see where
Mhm.
your journey is. Maybe you'll be in Costa Rica.
Maybe. I hope so.
Do you want to be there like soon? Are you like, is this real? Is this really real?
Yeah, it's really real. We're really putting those gears into motion. And it's so funny because ever since I put it out on my podcast sharing that this happened, it's like this is really the thing is that once you start to stake a claim and say, like, this is what I'm going after. This is something I'm interested in. For me, it wasn't even something I was in on my radar. It's something my guides told me I needed to do. And when I finally admitted, like, okay, I'm going to go after it, even more opportunities have come through. A client of mine who I haven't spoken to in almost 4 years reached out to me and said, hey, I'm in Costa Rica right now. I'm just there. I was just there visiting a friend. My friend who has 2 little kids, she just moved there. Can I connect the 2 of you? Because she has all these resources and she moved from Canada to Costa Rica. Can I connect the 2 of you? Please. And now I've been talking to her and she sent me to this sort of like company that's exactly what they, focus on. It's a company that like helps you literally move from Canada to Costa Rica. So the gears are definitely in motion and I haven't done anything to actively pursue it. It's just been coming my way and I just
The
keep
puzzle
saying,
pieces are getting lined up.
yeah. And all I have to do is just keep saying yes. If anyone said, hey, can I offer this to you? Yes.
Yeah. I even think what's going to happen is what's going to be surprised. And I think your husband is going to be, he's going to find something. It's going to be like, oh my God, like I would have never thought like he might be doing something similar or maybe different. I don't know. But I predict your husband is really going to like the space he's in when you're over there, you know?
I think so. I
So
think
it's
so
like
too.
he's going to find his way as well, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know. I want to go back to, I want to end this with where I started. And the main takeaway from this is to people, vibrate and radiate are the phrase they use. Radiate that energy, vibrate, feel good. It's like, be like a space heater, letting off that warmth because that is your secret sauce. When you feel that way, when you truly feel excited about something and you release that, that's what then gives you the opportunities to attract all these things that are going to be compatible with what it is you're excited about, that feeling. And everybody out there, I don't care who you are or what you're doing, you got something you can be excited about. Maybe you're excited about your chocolate chip cookie recipe and baking those cookies. Maybe you're excited about, you're going to start some little business, or maybe you're going to become, you're going to homeschool your kids. Whatever it is, you have something. You have something that can make you feel that way. And once you start feeling that way, then the magic starts to happen. Are you
Yeah.
feeling what I'm saying?
I'm feeling you. I'm getting inspired and excited. And I want to add to / underline what you just said, which is that it's not just forcing yourself into a feeling. It's seek out the things that make you feel good.
Right. Right. I'm not saying it's not, there's not an ounce of what I feel that's fake or forced. I
Mhm.
just feel excited about wanting to create. And by that, my Hungry for Justice true crime food thing, more Connect podcasts. I've got a true crime feature, like a docu-series we're pitching right now that's like a big thing. Like I got so many things I want to create that I'm excited and passionate about. And I go about my day and I'm just in that vibe. Like I'm excited about what I feel. And I think I talked about this with you maybe when on the episode when we talked about me being a star seed.
Mhm.
I get home and like when I go to bed, it's almost like a chore. I've said this before. It's almost like, oh my God, I gotta sit here for like 8 hours and like till I can start tomorrow. Like I'm ready to start tomorrow. Like I wish I could go home, just plug a little thing in an outlet, charge my batteries, and then go right back and start doing the things I want to do. Like it seems like it's almost like this chore of having to lay down and like go to sleep. I know
Yeah.
it sounds terrible, but
No, it's true. It's also very typical of a starseed that
really,
is the way you guys are. You're like, man, I have to be in this human body and like take care of it.
yeah.
Which is
Like when I
really
wake up and I got like the whole process of getting ready, like excuse me, I wish it could be shorter. Like I got to get up, then I got to take a shower, and I got to shave, and I got to put in the clothes, and like I wish I could just wake up and like boom, I'm ready. I wake up and I'm ready.
Just
You
go.
know?
Yeah, I know. I know. It's such a fun feeling. And that is really, and I think that the other thing that you're saying, which is that the process of creating is what creates that energy. It's what creates that excitement and allows you to radiate, because when you're in flow, you feel it, right? And you
Yeah,
can just project that
I
out.
totally feel it. And so I'll give you one more example. I'm going to LA tomorrow with my son, and some of his friends from film school are out there, and we've talked about creating some kind of short film together. You know, one guy's an actor, one guy's a musician, one guy's like the cameraman, my son's the writer. I'm like, we can create, you don't need to wait for permission from some company to hire you, right? I mean, no, 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 no. You can create right now. I mean, we don't need anybody else. We can create our own project and art and put it out there. And so I'm going out there this next week, and we're going to talk about this project. I'm hoping when I'm on here a year from now talking to you, that's one of the projects I'm going to talk about as having been completed and putting it out there, you know?
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. That's so beautiful.
You and I are
Yeah.
going to have a lot more to say on this topic. And for people out there, I literally texted Jessica like just a little while ago today and said, hey, can you jump on a Zoom and we can just do a short little podcast? And she's such a trooper. She blocked out a little time for me to do it. And I really appreciate that, because I couldn't have this discussion with anybody but you. I needed to talk to you about it.
Yeah, well, I feel you and I appreciate it because you're giving me energy. It's so beautiful.
Well, everybody out there, thank you for tuning in to Connect. We're going to have a lot more to say to it. 2025, I'm telling you, create. Get this book, Abundant Ever After by Kathy Heller. Jessica, thank you for telling me about it. I can't wait to continue this journey with you. Can't wait to hear more about Costa Rica. To be continued.
Amazing. Thanks.